I own 2 copies of Gladiator. They're like slightly different. I really don't like that this one has like all of the tape on it, but I like that it has the awards up top, and then this one I think has like a signature from Ridley Scott.
Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
Hello, welcome back to another Hard Review, and I'm here, of course, to talk about Gladiator 2. Gladiator 2 is Ridley Scott returning to the franchise. We have a bunch of new faces here because you really can't bring back a lot of faces from the first one outside of Connie Nielsen. Paul Mescal is in our main Gladiator role here. This is his first, like, big exposure, I think. Like, the average Joe doesn't really know him. I mean, he's gotten a lot of acclaim from, like, All of Us Strangers and After Sun. So I'm really excited for people to really get formally introduced to him here. I was really excited about this movie because of Denzel Washington, and he plays a villain here, and I think he has a lot of fun with it, clearly. Pedro Pascal is one of the hottest names in Hollywood right now, and he's here as well. Joseph Quinn is in a role. Another thing that really excited me about this movie was the upping of the special effects, the epicness of it all, the ambitiousness, the ridiculousness of it all with all the fights and the set pieces. I really like when they fight animals. I think that when he has to fight the tiger in the first movie, like there's all the tigers around him as he's fighting the dude with the tiger theme. That's like the best scene in the movie. And a lot of people complain about that CGI and the green screen not really working really well and being really dated. Well, now, boom. All right, let's do this big one. There's rhinos, bloodthirsty hyenas, sharks, and water. There's water in the Colosseum. That made no sense. I don't want to be the guy that's like complaining about historical accuracy, but like, first of all, okay, how are you flooding this thing with water? How are you getting the sharks in there? How are you doing this boat fight? Of course people are going to get hit with arrows, like random people. There's an arrow that almost hits one of the emperors, and it's like, of course, like, well, you had no precautions against this. Like, you gave them a bunch of arrows. They have nothing to live for. You don't think one of them's going to be like, you know what? Fuck you. But the fights are really ridiculous and cool, and I really enjoyed them. Paul Mescal, I think, is better than Russell Crowe in the first movie. I think that he's a lot more personable. I think the character in the first movie is better, but I like the performance better here. I really liked how he was with the men that he was a gladiator with, and like the speeches that he would give, and he was very personable, and he had little quips, like not Marvel quips, but little like, fuck you, rebellious quips. Denzel Washington is such a goofy villain in this. I wish he was in it more. I wish he had more to do. His plan doesn't really get started until a little bit later on, and I'm like, why didn't we like push this up? Why isn't this the entire movie? Because once his wheels start to go in motion, that's when the movie really kicks into high gear, and by then it's a little bit too little too late. My big beef with this movie is it does just kind of feel like, again, Gladiator, again. I don't know. I didn't really like that. The whole idea of the main character, his name is Lucius. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that he's Maximus's son. We knew this. We know this. But the movie kind of treats it like it is, which is really weird. I knew going in that that's his son, obviously. This is not a twist. And honestly, I don't feel like that story thread was treated with the right amount of respect. Like, it just didn't have enough emphasis. I think this movie has a big problem. It's just a sequel. It's the same problem that most sequels have. It's trying to be twice as big, twice as much, while still sticking to its roots. And so it doesn't feel different enough, but it feels like it's trying too hard and trying to do too much. I like that there's 2 emperors this time, kind of like the Hydra type theme, like, oh, you cut one head off, 2 heads arise. I like that, and they're both definitely doing like homages to Joaquin Phoenix's performance, which is the best performance in the first movie. But yeah, too much same old, same old. I like the animal stuff. I think that's cool. The effects look really cool. The action's really cool. I did like the narrative generally. It's just when I'm seeing a sequel to Gladiator, I go in with really high hopes because the first story is so simple, and that's kind of what the problem with this movie is just doing the same thing again. Is like, okay, it was simple the first time. But I do think this movie's really cool and really fun. I didn't like it as much as Wicked, but I am going to give it the same rating of 4-star, probably without the heart, but I did like it. I think it's a good time. You're kind of getting exactly what you paid for with this one. It's just not reinventing the wheel. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Like, comment, subscribe. Why don't you guys tell me what your favorite action movie of the year is? I would take Furiosa, because I know Dune is like an action thing, but the action in Furiosa is the coolest action of the year, if you ask me.